welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me, as always, is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
I'm here, Mike Dell, and today we're going to find out why Thor's helmet has those wings. Because it turns out Red Bull gives you wings.
Very good. Yes. This week we are reading Thor issue 290, and I already forget what year this is from. I think 1979.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That is right. Yep.
Swinging 70s.
Yeah. And what a book this is. Thor fights a professional wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, it seemed like such a good premise till one little word came in there and I immediately lost interest.
Yeah, I had no idea. This is the reason why he could fight a professional wrestler. It's because this wrestler is a deviant.
Yep.
And he fight
not the cool kind of deviant, like he's into weird bondage or like sex play. No.
This is the Deviants and the Eternals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
I actually liked Michael and I did an Eternals issue on the show several years ago. I don't know how many years, but I actually enjoyed it. It was like the Jack Kirby, may have been issue 1 or something. But yeah, just the overall concept of the Eternals and the movie, yeah, it's
it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, we'll try and explain it a little bit as we get there. But yeah, this is our way to celebrate WrestleMania 2 weeks late.
That's right.
And the wrestler in this book is called El Toro Rojo, the Red Bull.
The Red Bull.
It gives you wings. So. All right, that's what we're doing here today. But before we get started, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I believe we're up to 355 subscribers.
Ooh.
You picked up one, which again,
incremental growth. Good enough.
Is remarkable because no one is watching Spider-Woman. They said Gypsy Moth, pass.
They saw that costume like orange and brown. What is this?
We want nothing to do with this. So, but again, if we get to 500 subscribers, maybe
I wish it was 300. Yeah,
let's make it 357 subscribers. If we get to 500 subscribers, Jank is making me read The Dark Knight Returns every day or every week for a month.
Yep, every day. Every day you have to read the whole thing.
So that's what we're doing here on the big show at some point. I don't know. And I also have a book out there called Monkey Flip. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And there's wrestling is featured heavily in Monkey Flip. And at the end, he becomes a Mexican luchador named El Mono Diablo, right? Or is it Diablo? Yeah, I was El Mono Diablo.
Let's ask the author. Maybe he knows.
Because I was debating whether to go El Diablo Mono or El Mono Diablo. But it's El Mono Diablo, the monkey devil. The monkey devil. Yeah, all right. So anyway, Thor. Everyone knows Thor. We talked about Thor plenty of times. You don't have to get into him. Everyone knows Thor. But there is an Eternal in this issue named Vampiro, who is also a wrestler. Apparently, these Deviants and Eternals they like to venture into professional wrestling. So,
when you live for centuries, all you have to do with your life is become a professional wrestler, apparently.
That's what that Toro Rojo says at one point. He goes, well, I got a lot of time. Everyone needs a hobby.
Kind of like that Vampirella movie where, like, what's his name from The Who became like a rock star. Yeah.
Yeah, so Roger Daltrey's in the Vampire movie. Or Vampirella. So the guy in this is what's his name? Is it
Vampiro?
Because Vampiro was an actual wrestler.
Oh.
Yeah, down in Mexico and WCW, he was a wrestler. So
that would have been after this, so maybe you ripped it off.
Maybe. So so that's what we're going on here. Now, Jank, would you like to explain the gist of the Eternals and Deviants? Because I really don't want to. Can you explain it?
I know only a tiny bit, the most necessary bits. They're basically two different offshoots of the same kind of race. Like the Celestials, I think, started both of them, right? Like the Celestials.
And when you say Celestials, they're like the giant teacup head guys.
Yeah. These giant like space sentinels, I guess. I don't know. They go from the planet and they just judge. Like they're very judgy, like family members who just come to your house and like, this could be cleaner.
Who did you?
You call this chicken cooked? This is real dry.
They care about your political parties. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's basically them. So they just go around seeding planets with life, I think, right?
something like that. Yeah. And like so the Eternals and the Deviants were like the ones who were seated here on Earth. But the Deviants were the bad guys, apparently.
Yeah. They're like all
And
the gross looking ones. Like
yeah.
if you got scales or something, oh, get over there with the deviants. You got to be good looking to be over here with the Eternals. You got to have long flowing hair.
So can you name an Eternal besides Vampiro? Like who are the Eternals?
Icarus or
Or
Icarus.
Icarus. Yeah,
Yeah.
Icarus.
They spell it weird.
Is he the main guy? Like the blonde
Yeah, I
guy?
think he's like the main guy. Cersei, of course, from the Avengers. She
Oh
was
yeah, I like Cersei.
she was an Eternal. Wasn't Gilgamesh an Eternal too?
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah. The rest of the main kind of core Eternals, I don't know.
Who is Gemma Chan in that movie? Lord
Uh
help me, I love the Gemma Chan, but I don't
was she
know.
Cersei? She seems like she could be a
Oh,
Cersei.
maybe. Yeah.
She's got the dark hair.
I have no idea. I made it like 15 minutes into that movie. And if you make me turn off a movie with Gemma Chan in it,
Yeah, you've done something wrong.
So, all right. So that's the basic backstory here of the Eternals and
Yeah,
Deviants.
this is their eternal enemies. Like
Yeah.
the Deviants are always plotting against Earth, where the Eternals are kind of trying to help people out without really being discovered. And they're constantly at war.
Man, I'll be honest. If I knew this guy was a deviant and eternal, I probably wouldn't have picked it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought he was just a wrestler with enchanted horns.
Yeah.
Anyway, but apparently, like Thor fought some deviant hive or something a few issues before this.
Yeah, he's very apparently involved in this whole celestial thing going on right now, which is another reason why Thor probably wasn't selling that great this time. We need Walt Simonson to get in there and turn him into a frog.
What kind of a genius could have come up with this idea for Thor? Oh, it's Roy Thomas.
Yeah.
Roy Thomas is the writer.
That's the other, ding in this thing's armor. Because, man.
Roy the Boy. We're very familiar with him.
Sure. I feel like 80% of the books we've done are Roy Thomas.
And Arvell Jones is the artist. Now, I'm confused here because I know Arvell Jones. I know I've discussed him on the show, but when I went through his previous issues, I can't find the one we did on the show.
Huh.
So, because he only had 22 penciling credits at Marvel, and he only has maybe a little bit more at DC, but a lot of like Squadron Supreme, but it wasn't the Squadron.
It's not the one we did.
Or not Squadron Supreme, I'm sorry. All-Star Squadron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely did. I know you did some of those before, and we did at least one.
Yeah, so maybe he was the artist for those. But no, he did later ones, because I think Mike L and I did like issue like 3 or something. But or maybe do you think he could have done that annual we did?
Could be. It's possible.
Yeah, I didn't even check to see if he did an annual.
Anyway. We need Mike L's spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's right. But Arvell Jones, he's from Detroit, Michigan, and he co-created Misty Knight with Tony Isabella.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he did like the first couple appearances of Iron Fist in what was that? Marvel Presents, I believe.
Sure.
And
sounds about right.
I mentioned he did All-Star Squadron at DC. He did a lot of like Superboy, I think, or Super Family. Or
we ever done Superboy?
No, thank God. Don't take it.
I know how much you love Superman. Just wait to see how much you love him more as a boy.
So yeah, I like Arvell Jones's work, but I really should have found where. I know I've talked about him before because I knew he was from Detroit, Michigan. How would I possibly know that unless I did his biography before?
You saw him at a Pistons game one time.
So hey, the inker here is Chick Stone.
Oh, that's a good name.
Yeah, you're set up for life if your name is Chick Stone.
Yeah,
it's as good as it gets.
Yep. You're not ever leaving a party with your arm, bare.
Chick Stone. Hey, Jim Shooter's just a consulting editor.
Oh,
it's weird.
He didn't want to be attached to this. He's like, whatever. Just put my name on it so I get royalties, but really, I don't want to be touching this.
Really here. All right, so let's look at the cover. This cover was drawn by Keith Pollard and ink by Bob the Late.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so
Yeah, it's an interesting cover. So we
I
got the
like it.
40 cents there, the little Thor in the corner box, a full body shot of Thor just kind of standing there, almost like you walked in on him and he's just kind of like, hey,
What's
close the
up?
door. You're letting all the cold out. And then we got the little Marvel Comics group banner across the top and like a light green. And it says the mighty Thor, and the mighty is inside the T.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like the way they did
How
that
do you feel
there.
about the ragged font though? Like it looks like termites are
Yeah.
eating at the corners of the letters.
Right. It's like those old, like paper bags you get at the grocery store.
Yeah, but look at
At
that
the
O.
top of
There's like
those.
someone took a bite out of the O. Like what is going on?
Well, when you're a god, you get very hungry. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be old timey, but it just looks, I don't know. Looks eaten, like you said. Like even the R's got a bite taken out of the corner there. So
And it's yellow on top of red.
yeah,
So
maybe it's supposed to be old timey, like time has withered it away.
I don't know. This looks
But
odd.
yeah, it's a strange look. But I do like that the T kind of looks like the hammer a little bit, so that's cool.
Yeah, since you bring up the hammer, like this is at a time when the hammer was still a little small. Like
Yeah.
the head of it, it was like thinner and like now it's a big chunky hammer at the top.
Yeah, I like the chunky hammer.
Yeah, I agree. It's a better look.
It's a little less impressive when he's just, throwing like a regular sized hammer
Yeah,
at people.
sometimes it looks like not so much in this issue, but we've seen previous issues where it almost looks like just a little hammer they tap your knee with at the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want that. That's not scary.
no, it was the big chunky hammer. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, go ahead with your description here, Jack.
All right, then we got a black background and a wrestling ring. And in the wrestling ring, you got El Toro Rojo himself, who's like a Mexican wrestler, all dressed in red and kind of pink shorts, like little underpants and pink boots. And he's got big red horns. Not really big red horns, like compared to Loki, but they're kind of small, dainty horns.
Compared to not having horns, like most people, they're big horns.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. I guess they're medium sized horns. And he's charging over at Thor, and Thor is on the other side of the ring. He's throwing Mjolnir at El Toro Rojo there, and it seems to be bouncing off of him and goes flying in the air. And he says, "Not even my mystic hammer can stop El Toro Rojo." And he sees a couple of people in the audience there. They're throwing fruit. One of them's throwing an apple with a bite taken out of it. One of them's just throwing banana peels up in the ring.
The same termites that got the logo got that apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a banana peel. There's like a can. Yeah, these people are mad.
Somebody should throw a squid. And this is hockey.
Look at Jank with the hockey reference. I'm proud of you. But I love El Toro Rojo here. He looks great running at the camera and throwing the Mjolnir. Yeah, I like the cover a lot. It's a cool cover. If I was a kid, I'd be buying the hell out of this. So,
yeah. Dynamic poses for sure.
Yep. So, all right, we open it up and we get. I meant to look this up and I didn't because I'm stupid. But the description says when Dr. Donald Blake strikes his wooden walking stick upon the ground, it becomes the mystic hammer Mjolnir, and the lame physician is transformed into the Norse god of thunder, master of the storm, lord of the living lightning. I've never heard him referred to that at all. And heir to the throne of eternal Asgard. Stanley presents the mighty Thor. So my question
I love that Thor is like Apollo Creed. He's just got nothing but nicknames.
Yeah, I never heard those other nicknames. God of Thunder, that's it. That's all I've heard.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, this Donald Blake fella, because that's how he started. He was a physician with a bad leg, Donald Blake, and he found the stick. He tapped the stick, boom, it's the hammer, and it says whoever lifts his hammer is whatever. He's Thor now. So, when did they get rid of that? Because clearly in the movies he's not Donald Blake, and like,
it seems like it must have been shortly before this they had kind of made the big reveal that he was actually Thor all along, because he seems to mention in this issue, he says something about like, I can't let people know I'm Donald Blake because I might want to keep that identity a little while longer. So it seems like he knows bullshit by this point.
I do remember him saying that. I didn't even,
I
had no idea what was going on. Yeah, so, because the original idea was he was Donald Blake, but when he hit the hammer, he turned into Thor. But then they kind of like said no, he's always Thor. He was always Thor, but he was punished, right? And he was sent down to.
Yeah, he was being too arrogant and kind of an asshole in Asgard there. So Odin sent him down to Earth as a mortal man to learn some humility and to learn to care about people.
I think the weirdest thing about it is if in like the first issue of Thor, whatever that is, because it wasn't in his own book, right? It was in like a Tales to Dawn or
Yeah,
something.
Tails. Yeah, exactly.
Like that first issue, it involves space aliens, space monkeys.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
like
They
he sees
chased him into a cave.
yeah, he's a UFO and aliens, so he runs into a cave. And this is a guy with
Yep.
a bad leg, so why is he out hiking anyway? You know,
Yeah, that seems like a bad move on his part. You're a doctor with a bad leg. Maybe you just stick to playing golf.
but it just seems weird that space aliens, or have a role in Donald Blake becoming. It's just strange. Just odd.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't know if they ever answered like maybe that was all part of Odin's
A
plan,
dream.
or like like maybe that he put the stick there at that certain time because he knew there was aliens around. So he's like, I better let him be Thor again, or he's gonna die.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's certainly an odd origin story. All right,
Yeah, a lot of retcons.
so we're getting close because yeah, like in the movies, they never even mentioned Donald Blake, right? It's never a thing.
No, I think they briefly mentioned in the first Thor, like, didn't Natalie Portman have an old boyfriend named Donald Blake, and he's
Oh,
Thor's like wearing his clothes, I think.
oh, maybe I don't even remember. But yeah,
Yeah,
in like the early books, what's her name? Natalie Portman. What's her Jane Foster?
Jane Foster. Yeah.
Yeah, she was just as like secretary, as a receptionist, right? And then
Was she a nurse? I thought she was a nurse.
oh, okay, yeah, maybe a nurse. I just remember she was at the desk doing paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I guess technically she is a nurse. But yeah, so all right, so there's Thor. All right, so we open the book up, and this issue is called "Ring Around the Red Bull." We get a big splash page of Thor in outer space, and he's falling
Yeah, this
toward
is a cool
Earth.
start.
Yeah, it's a hell of a splash page, and we see
They're explaining to us what a meteor is, and they're like, "Oh, but this
yeah,
particular meteor is going to be much different than normal. This is a
yeah,
man."
this is Thor,
And you're
and
like, "Oh, what's going on here?" But it doesn't really turn out to be much of a problem because he just like throws, Mjolnir
yeah,
and carries him up. So it's like,
um,
he looks like he's gonna hit, but no, he just flies back up into space pretty much.
yeah, he's Thor. He's great. But
Yep.
I like the big splash page here. We see space and a lot of Kirby crackle in the background by Arvell Jones, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, he just throws his hammer. Then when he gets into the Earth's atmosphere and he's flying around, and he
Yeah.
remembers like how he got there. And I guess there's a big fight with a
The
battle.
Destroyer.
Oh yeah, remembers a battle with god beings like itself in a land which was somehow beyond both time and space. Oh, I guess the itself, but they're still trying to pretend he's a asteroid. I don't know. A raging melee which occurred because they would not let him enter his gleaming homeland, the place called Asgard. And then we see him on the Rainbow Bridge fighting Destroyer. Although I'll say Destroyer doesn't look very intimidating here. He looks a little chubby.
Yeah, he
Like
kind of looks about the same size as Thor, so it's really not much. It shouldn't be that tough, but
it seems like Destroyer's been enjoying the holidays. Might need to tighten it up a bit. But he's
freshman 15 hit him hard.
but he just punches Thor or whacks him and throws him off the Rainbow Bridge. And so he went into our dimension then, and that's where our story began with him falling through space toward Earth.
Yeah, the weird
And
thing they mention in this story, though, is he says the metal form of the destroyer was empowered by the life force of
oh
Lady
yeah,
Sif. I was like, what's going on there? Why is Sif beating the shit out of him?
yeah, because that's why he said he couldn't fight the destroyer too much because he didn't want to damage it because Lady Sif is somehow in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, his beloved Lady Sif. Um, so now we see him flying and he sees the Hulk.
Yeah.
He's,
I was like,
oh my
oh
goodness,
boy, a Hulk cameo. This is pretty great.
but it's not the Hulk, Jank. It's Lou Ferrigno apparently.
Yeah.
And they're
Yep, just good old Lou. Painted up green.
and they're he stumbles upon them filming the Hulk TV show. I like how they slip in a little promo for the Hulk TV show.
Yep. That's
Uh,
pretty good.
and he's out in Hollywood.
I see now the film cameras which do proclaim that he be but an actor, bathed in green.
He flies through the Hollywood sign,
Yeah.
and then he sees Vampiro, and this guy, it seems like we've encountered someone dressed in this costume before, like a similar costume, but it's all blue with bat ears and wings under his arms.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Captain America villain like this.
It's very familiar to me. What was
Yeah.
that book that Todd McFarlane did?
Oh,
Infinity.
the Infinity. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wasn't there a guy kind of looking like this?
Maybe.
I don't know. But well,
Hmm.
without the big bad ears. But so anyway, he's flying and he's all drunk. Like Thor thinks he's drunk or something. He's like flying all crazy. So Thor goes to catch him because he's falling out of the sky. So Thor catches him and he puts him down on the ground. He can tell, oh, this guy's very wounded. He's injured. And they start chatting it up. And what does Vampiro, I don't know how I'm going to say it. Vampiro, what does he tell Thor, Jay?
Well, Thor's like, hey, yeah, you look like you've been gored as if by a raging bull. And Vampiro's like, see, Thunder God, that is just what happened. My name, the only one you need to know, is Vampiro. And so yeah, he tells him basically that he was in Mexico. He's a professional wrestler there, and he was fighting some guy, and everything was going great. He's always winning his matches. But then this El Toro Rojo shows up, and he's calling himself El Toro Rojo, the Red Bull, and suddenly found myself fighting as never before and losing. And so this guy's mask, he's got these horns on there, and he grows them out and just dives into him and smashes him with his horns, gores him right through the chest.
Sends
And
him through the ring ropes. The ring ropes snap. And
yeah, Vampire was weirded out by it, but he's like, I realized why, because El Toro was a deviant.
and again, not the cool kind of deviant,
Nope.
the lame deviant. Um, I like how they're slipping in Spanish words, and then they're always put a little editorial box by Roy
Yeah.
Thomas explaining the
Oh, there
Spanish.
was so much of that.
It's like an episode of Dora the Explorer. Um, but
It's
yeah,
so weird.
so
Like, why would you not either speak Spanish or speak English? Why just randomly every couple words throw in a Spanish word?
got to give it that authenticity. But I like the wrestling action. We get a couple panels of Vampiro hits a Hurricane Rana on somebody. He looks like Baron Zemo, a Jack Baron Zemo. And he tries to you into it. He's like basically the Rey Mysterio of
Yeah.
the Eternals. This
Well,
Vampiro.
only he was Dirty Dom.
Yeah, Dirty Tom's El Toro Rojo. So, so yeah, Thor's like, hey, what do you want me to do here? And then I don't know. There's some guy. What does this dude with come to Olympia?
Yeah. Yeah, his brain was invaded by an infrasonic call from Major Domo. He who sits on Father Zurus's right hand is like, oh boy, I don't care about any of this
So to
bullshit.
smack Jack Kirby upside the head sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was
None of this is any good.
uh,
And then he just basically redid it with the new gods. It's like, oh
yep.
boy.
So yeah, they're calling Vampiro back to Olympia for some reason, and he was trying to get there, but he was too injured, and he fell out of this guy there, and so and he knows all about Thor. He
Yeah. Because Thor has been, dealing with the Eternals recently, apparently.
and Thor's like, all right, well, tell me what's been going on there, buddy. And then Thor hears, oh, some stamping hooves without Stanley back both. Oh yeah, Vampiro's got a mortal wife,
Yes.
a human wife, and so Red Bull just barges right through the wall there, and man, he breaks up his little tape recorder there. Do you see that? His tape recorder with the two discs.
Oh no. His rack system been ruined.
But he charges in the room there, and Thor, jumps in front and just whacks him and sends him flying. And he's bouncing him around the room, and Thor's like, "By Hemdall's horn." He's not talking about his cock, right? Hemdall's horn.
I don't know. This for Letterkenny, he definitely.
Yawn below would have crushed most mortal supervillains I've battled. Yet thou dost merely careen from pillar to post. Yeah, this is the other reason why Thor wasn't popular at the time. The way he talks and everything is like, give it a break.
Yeah, this talk was way outdated even then.
And so he throws Mjolnir at El Toro Rojo, but he drops down and ducks it. But then he sees Mjolnir, coming flying back around again, and he says, "Oh wait, I've heard I can't let you have your hammer or something. I don't know."
Yeah, he apparently knows that if Thor doesn't touch his hammer for long enough time, he'll
Well, I don't know
revert.
if that's it, or he just knows that the hammer has a lot of his strength is involved in the hammer. Like I don't think he
Yeah.
knows that he'll turn. Yeah, because back in the day, if Thor was not in touch with his hammer for 1 minute, he turned back to.
Very short amount of time. That seems very,
But
you
it is
know,
cool that he's got that little strap on the hammer to put it around his wrist. So usually he
yeah,
would hang it there, so that helps. But
yeah.
yeah, if he's not in touch with his hammer in 1 minute, he turns back to Donald Blake.
Same
What?
goes with my hammer. It makes working very hard, let me tell you.
I was going to say, when did they get rid of that? But do you remember when we did that issue of, well, I guess it was Fantastic Four with the Nihilist, and he put that bubble around
Hmm.
he was the receptionist.
Yeah, that was so good.
But remember, like Thor threw Mjolnir through that barrier, and it got stuck on the other side or something,
Oh, that's
and he turned into Donald Blake, and he like had to hide in the alley or something. So
wow. So they kept that going pretty far into the 80s at least.
yeah, because that was like mid 80s. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. This Thor, he's a weirdo. All right, so yeah, El Toro Rojo though, he just headbutts Mjolnir on its way back to Thor,
Yep.
and his enchanted horns, I like slam. They even have the upside down exclamation point in the front, like Spanish, but it's still in
Uh,
English, so you don't need to do it. It seems odd. So the hammer goes falling to the ground away from him, and they said, "All right, well," and he's like, "You're going to have to settle this with just your fist there, buddy." So yeah, him and Thor's like, "All right, let's do it." So they
yeah,
start.
apparently like they mentioned at some point that his horns like double his strength somehow. I don't know where he got these enchanted horns. Apparently
Yeah,
he's very strong as a deviant as it is, but somehow these enchanted horns that he got from somewhere make him twice as strong now.
yeah. When I heard Enchanted Thorns, I thought Loki for sure.
Right, that would make sense. Yeah, he's trying to mess with
Yeah.
Thor. Nope.
So they're fighting, and Thor lets him throw him through the air. Sure, you did, Thor. Just let him do this, so I can get closer to my hammer. And he's right about to pick up Mjolnir, but it's too late. The buzzer goes off. It's been a minute, and boom, he pops back into Donald Blake,
Yep.
and it's just a
In
wooden
such a
stick.
blinding flash of light that, El Toro Rojo doesn't see the change. He
Yeah,
just all of a sudden sees this scrawny guy standing there over a stick and he's like, hey, what's going on here? Can't
where
seem to
did
put
Thor
two and two
go?
together, but
He's not the brightest guy. This when you
you're
run around,
standing exactly where Thor was in
yeah,
the same position that Thor was.
when you run around hitting things with your head all day, it takes a toll. So he can't figure it out. But he sees Donald. He just grabs Donald Blake like on his horns and throws him. He doesn't
Yeah.
gore him. He just chucks him with his thorns or his horns. And so then he picks up the walking stick. But Donald Blake is going to go flying into the wall. And he's like, oh, no, I'm going to get splattered on that wall, Because he was all happy at first. He's, at least he didn't gore me. Oh, wait, I'm flying to that wall. But Vampiro comes out and jumps between Donald Blake and the wall.
Yep.
So he protects.
Good on him.
Yeah. And while Donald Blake is checking on Vampiro, and Vampiro's wife comes out and is all sad, he realizes, oh, hey, Toro Rojo, he just took my walking stick. He took Mjolnir.
Yes.
I'm
Somehow
concerned.
El Toro Rojo couldn't figure out that, this guy was Thor, but he, for some reason, knew that was Thor's stick, and this stick is special to Thor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like how Vampiro says, oh, take me inside, I will tell you. And then we get one panel of him inside in his bed, and he tells him, like, he could have just told him outside. You didn't have to do that. So Vampiro, he says, I know why Rojo left, because he has a big match tonight. You
can't be late.
To get to the arena.
He's got to get a paycheck.
So the next panel, we see Thor or Donald Blake in the passenger seat as Vampiro's wife drives him to the arena.
Yeah.
And she says, yes, I am a mortal woman, but what does she say here? Oh, I am sorry, senor, you do not understand Spanish. See? Very little, but my alter ego Thor knows most earthly languages. How? It must be difficult, Maria, immortal, married to an eternal. See, for I know I shall die one day. Well, Vampiro shall simply return to Olympia and go wild on all the strippers and hookers in Olympia. And but while I live, he is my husband, Senor, and I shall do what I must to help him. And
The
those
key to their relationship is she is a deviant, the good kind.
the good kind. And I like this panel of Donald Blake. You get him in blue and a purple background. That's pretty cool. And or pink purple. And he says,
Sure.
if I don't see your husband again, Maria, please tell him. Tell him I said he was a very lucky eternal. Yeah. How about that? So basically, he just says he wants to have sex with Vampiro's wife. So,
Yeah. I mean, this Vampiro's doing it right. Like, he's not hanging out with those stupid Eternals. He's out there just getting a real lady.
Yeah, he's wrestling every night. Good times.
Yep.
But then Donald Blake comes out of the car and he's like, get out of here. He starts getting real angry with her. Do you hear me? Get out of here. He's telling her to get home to get Vampiro out of that house because he doesn't know if he can stop El Toro Rojo. And if he can't, El Toro Rojo is going to go back to their house and kill Vampiro. Which he probably could have done already if he just was a little late getting to the arena. Like another minute. He could have.
Hey, he's going to lose his spot as a headliner. He doesn't want to be the undercard anymore.
So we go in and they're mid-match. Toro Rojo is wrestling a fella named Halcon de Oro, which translates to Hawk of God.
A very pious religious wrestler.
And they're talking to each other in Spanish in the ring, but we get it in English, but they put the little brackets around it to let you know.
Yeah.
In Spanish. And
this guy is just a regular wrestler, so he's got no chance against El Toro Rojo.
He's not an enchanted wrestler. He's just a wrestler.
Nope.
So Donald Blake runs in there, and the crowd's loving it. And he says, this is the line you mentioned earlier. He wants to make sure he covers his face. He pulls out a hanky and just ties it around his nose and mouth. It's like COVID.
Which is so, I mean, this already puts Donald Blake way ahead of Daredevil or Peter Parker in all the Spider-Man movies. Like, all these heroes that keep taking their masks off. At least he knows well enough to cover his face.
Dare you. and Daredevil this season, when he was in that bank episode, he put the other mask on. And I just have to watch
not until he was outside. Not when he was in the bank. The whole bank part, he was doing nothing.
Then his other move is in the Defenders, he took Jessica Jones's scarf and just wrapped that around his head. You remember that?
Yeah,
that was a good look.
That's good luck.
All right, so they're fighting and he ties it up, and this is when he says, "And I still haven't decided if I want to hang on to this mortal identity. So till I do, So apparently at this point, he knows he's actually Thor, and Donald Blake is just his alter ego, not the other way around.
But he still kind of likes being it, I guess. He's like, I get a good paycheck as a doctor. So maybe I'll stick around.
So now we're in the ring then with Toro Rojo, and he's got that gold falcon guy down, or gold hawk down on his knees begging for mercy. And he's got Donald Blake's walking stick in his hand because apparently it's a no DQ match, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else.
Oh, the referee in the background is like, stop. And but
it does seem like that's a flaw in the enchantment on the hammer, that once it's a stick, like anyone can use it, but if it's the hammer, nobody can lift it but Thor. But if it's just stick form, then anyone can have it.
I think that's the way it's got to be, because otherwise, like, why can't I pick up this fucking stick? It's just a stick. Why can't I pick it up?
Well, I mean, but what are you going to do about it? You can't pick the thing up, so.
I think it's okay that it's disguised. Like, is anyone stick? But like, if El Toro Rojo taps it on the ground, it's not like he turns into Thor.
No.
Yeah. So. But El Toro Rojo,
it's just a stick.
He's in there and he says, "You are fortunate, Halcon. I will not bother to gore you as I did Vampiro, because as a mortal, you are no real threat to me." Would you be telling the other wrestlers that you're immortal and not immortal? That seems like they could go to commission with that info. And
he's about to beat the shit out of him with a stick, so maybe he's figuring a concussion will,
Yeah, that's what he says, but you will never fight again after I've taken this cane to you. It's like a Singapore cane match in ECW.
Yes. Yeah. That's what you get for chewing gum in Singapore.
So, and then Donald Blake sneaks in the ring under the ropes there in the most awkward way possible. Look at that. And Toro Rojo turns around and goes, "Usted," and then we get the answer. That means you. according to Rotanus. And he recognizes him from earlier. And then that gold falcon or golden hawk, I keep saying falcon. He grabs him and he says, "Hey, Toro, your match is with me, buddy. You better focus on me and not that guy with the hanker gun on his face." You know, and and right away that's an instant disqualification if he walks in the ring, Donald Blake. You know, like come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, I guess he needs to get actually involved though. Yeah, it could be a loophole. But anyway, El Toro Rojo comes around and just backhands that golden hawk and sends him flying through the air. And I like Donald Blake's like, at least that gets the mortal wrestler out of the ring. But before that, he says, "Oh, good. It was a hard blow, but I doubt it was lethal."
Right. How are you going to judge that? This guy went flying and probably crashed into a brick wall.
Yeah, he's like a 200-pound man soaring through the sky. I think he's probably dead.
Yeah. Or at least check on him later, maybe. Like, not just, I assume he's all right.
That
didn't look lethal.
Yeah, he needs Vampire to jump in front of the wall and catch him like Donald Blake. So Donald Blake just grabs on when El Toro Rojo is distracted. Donald Blake just grabs onto the walking stick there. Starts hugging it. And Toro Rojo was like, "What are you doing, you dummy?"
He's like, "I will smash you and the stick all in once here." And he slams them both on the ground. But of course, in doing so, that means that the hammer the stick struck the ground, turning Donald Blake back into Thor.
Yeah, that's a good panel of Thor on his ass, holding up. But yeah, when Donald Blake's flying through the air there with those sticks, he's like, "Great, I goaded him into swinging the stick hard enough to hit the floor." Yeah, you're also going to hit the floor there, buddy. But
better hope this works.
Now he's Thor, and El Toro Rojo is like, "What? Where did that get you again in here?" Then at last I've learned the secret of the stick. And Thor says, "Much good may it do thee." And he lifts him up, and El Toro Rojo says, "K."
The ref's trying to stop the fight. He's like, "Stop, the fight's over."
The Thor, "Nay, referee, 'twill ne'er be ended till El Toro Rojo be defeated thus." And Thor,
that's terrible.
Spikes him head first through the mat.
Yeah. Slam with 2 M's. That's how you know it was intense.
Oh, look, that golden hawk fella. He's still alive. He's standing there in the crowd watching.
Yep. That's how we show he was alive.
And we get a nice shot of Thor celebrating, raising his hammer, Kirby Crackle all around him behind. He's like, "Thor, Lord of the living lightning and heir to the throne of eternal Asgard." Again, this living lightning thing, that is not going to work.
The Count of Monte Fisto.
Yeah, now that was a cool name, Count of Monte Fisto. But then we see in the background here, El Toro Rojo is climbing out of the ring, the hole in the ring, just like Kane used to do to get the Undertaker. Come up out of the ring and grab him. That's what he does here. And he puts Thor in a sleeper hold. But Thor like flips him down to the mat. And then, El Toro Rojo just spikes Thor's face into the mat. So that's pretty cool. Puts him in a hammer lock. And but then Thor, now this is weird because Thor throws El Toro Rojo toward the ropes. And the referee, for some reason, is standing outside the ropes.
I mean, he called the fight. He said it was over. He's on his way out at this point. He's like, "I did what I could."
He's like, "Madre de mercy." Mercy. I don't know. And so when El Toro slams into the ring ropes, it knocks the ref off the apron and into the crowd.
"I declare this match over. Do you hear over?"
I like how the referee wears the black and white striped shirt and just a sensible pair of khakis.
Yep. Nice brown pants. Yeah.
So back in the ring, El Toro Rojo is charging at Thor like a bull.
Thor does the classic, Matador move, takes off his red cape and uses it to, make El Toro Rojo angry.
He just tucks Mjolnir into his belt. And then he sidesteps just like a good Matador, and El Toro Rojo goes right into the ring post, turnbuckles, and he's a little woozy from that apparently.
Yeah, even though he's got an enchanted helmet, basically. Yeah.
He can take Mjolnir to the head, not a problem. He runs into a ring post. So he's like, I got enough energy for one more charge at you, Thor. So get ready. And he comes running at him.
I wouldn't tell Thor that. Like, hey, I've only got one left in me. So you better let me hit you with this one.
So what does Thor do, Jack?
Well, he starts swinging Mjolnir, spinning it around in a circle. And yeah, Toro was just like, I ain't gonna do nothing. You tried Mjolnir on me before, that didn't do anything. But he's like, no, well now I made it like a giant saw blade essentially, and it's gonna, saw off your enchanted horns when you get close enough.
Yep.
And
It's like a
somehow that
blender,
works.
basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Just
so,
shreds them.
and El Toro Rojo says, "Que diablo? What the devil?" And he's like, "My horns, you have destroyed them, sheared them away. Without them, my power is halved." And Thor says, "I did suspect as much." Oh, calm down, Thor. You have no
Yeah.
idea. You're grasping at straws.
You don't know nothing about magics.
Oh my goodness, reading Thor. Unless thou hadst some special source of power, thou couldn't ne'er have stood against me more strongly than e'er did thy fellow deviants.
Maybe he's just got different powers.
Shorn of them, thou art a deviant still, possessed of more than mortal might by far. But what is that against the power of Thor? And then we see it's now an exterior shot of the arena, and El Toro Rojo is flying right through the roof of the arena.
This would be the best wrestling show these people have ever seen.
Next year, night one of WrestleMania, El Toro Rojo. It
would be better than night two.
Did you watch it at all?
I watched some of it, yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it on the LCS show.
Yeah.
But the referee comes back in the ring and he says, and the winner is, you already called the match. You said the match was over.
Yeah. This has been ended already.
And he's raising Thor's arm with it. Oh, it's interesting because he can raise the hammer as long as it's in Thor's hand.
That's true.
But Thor says, I have said my name be Thor, amigo. And then he
there was some great dialogue we missed out earlier where the Thor was like talking about like, oh, we're over the barrio. It was great.
And he's thinking to himself, hard as I did strike El Toro Rojo, he'll be no threat till Vampiro be long departed, and I as well. So you're just going to run away. You're not going to go back and catch him. You're just going to run away.
Yep.
And so he's walking off the stage there, and like the Mexican Vince McMahon comes running up, and he's like, Magnifico, sign this contract, my friend, and we shall make millions together. And Thor's like, I do prefer to save millions, not to earn them. Stand thee aside. And, he throws his hammer, and with the last panel is just Thor flying out of the picture at us. And he says, I must hie me back at once to Olympia, there to prevent Zerus from leading his Eternals against the space gods. Else the judgment of the Celestials may be levied upon the earth at once, and the planet entire be destroyed. Next issue, Zerus, Zeus, and All-Father Odin against Thor alone. You excited for that one, Jack?
No. I mean, the Olympians are probably one step above the Eternals, really. Like, they're all kind of vying for real low on the totem.
All right. Yeah, this issue is... okay, it's obviously rough because of the Eternals and the Deviants. I did not know that going in, but the wrestling's great, and this is a classic Flea Market Fantasy issue, just a batshit crazy story. And
I did find the dialogue I liked, where Thor catches Vampiro, and he's like, "You speak Spanish, of course. Now I do realize we be above the barrio, that part of Los Angeles where many Chicanos do dwell."
Thor knows where the Chicanos dwell. But that's classic Roy Thomas dialogue if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I learned some Spanish, so that's good.
Yeah.
El Toro Rojo is great, and I guess he does have another appearance at some point in another
really
book. Yeah, because I was reading his Marvel fandom. I didn't know what I didn't like follow through to see what issue, because you got to click the footnotes and all that to see what issue. But he was involved in another adventure at some point in history. So
okay, well, it's not just a one-off. They brought him back.
Yeah, I guess maybe he got new horns, or I don't know, they grew back. I don't know. But Yeah. Obviously, this is the first appearance of El Toro Rojo and Vampiro. This is their first appearance. Um, but yeah, I like this issue a lot. It was fun.
Yeah, it was goofy.
I like Arvell Jones's stuff a lot because it's just like just classic comic book art in my mind. Just like
Sure, it was nothing. It's nothing special. It's fine. I'll say
yeah,
that.
it's not like spectacular, but this is the style of art I enjoy the most. Like this kind of like old school, like Rich. Oh, he's buddies with Rich Buckler. So I was going to say it reminds me of Rich Buckler, and they were buddies together. I think Buckler might be from
Okay.
Detroit as well. Um, so they used to. Arvell said he used to go into like whenever there's a convention or something, they go into town and with their samples and they show him the John Romita Sr. And he said he'd spank us and send us on our way. And they would eventually they kept working and got better. And so yeah, I can't remember. There were a couple other
I looked it up,
artists.
and El Toro Rojo comes back apparently in an Avengers storyline in like the early '90s,
Oh,
like
okay.
when Cersei was on the team. So maybe
Oh,
that's
there you
why.
go. Yeah. So yeah, this book's fun. It's goofy. I loved it. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it had it all: terrible Thor dialogue and then old timey stuff. um,
Yeah, the Thor dialogue hurts. It's a lot.
yeah,
And Roy Thomas. But I'll
the
still,
goofiness of these Eternals and Deviants just being professional wrestlers. It's a goofy idea, but I like the way they pulled it off. The fact that El Toro Rojo couldn't tell that Thor turned into Donald Blake, even though they were in the same position. The stick was now where the hammer was, and he was not putting anything together. Classic, just stupid flea market fantasy material.
yes. So obviously it's not the not the greatest story ever. But for me, this is really fun. And I like Arvell Jones, so 8 out of 10 for me. Thor and El Toro Rojo.
Yeah, I mean the Eternals and Deviant stuff definitely knocks it down. I think
Yeah,
I'll give it like a 7. I'm not as
that's
big a
fair.
fan of Arvell Jones as
That's
you are,
fair.
but it was serviceable for sure.
So there you
A
go.
fun
Thor.
story.
Yeah, Thor 290, El Toro Rojo. And
Toro
I want to
Rojo.
see Thor versus El Mono Diablo because
Oh, that could be the sequel.
so, all right, Jake. Now, before you make your pick, let me just bring up a topic of discussion here because it seems that you're 0 for 2 these last couple of weeks. The One and Spider Woman have been really bad, swings and misses. In turn,
Huh.
so you're kind of in a slump. So
Well,
I'm putting this. We need you to come through here. It's,
nothing like clutch to really make me, pull out the all the stops.
yeah. So what do you got for us this week?
All right, we'll see if this will do any better. Next week, we're going to talk about a villain who kills people with deadly accuracy.
Oh, it's got
Uh,
to be Bullseye.
a villain who has been done dirty by the studio side of their comic book company when it comes to live action adaptation.
It's got to be Bullseye.
That's right, we're talking about Deadshot.
I knew it. See it coming down Broadway. Deadshot. This is DC, of course, right? Isn't he part of the Suicide Squad, right?
Yep. That terrible, the first Suicide Squad movie, the bad one. The second one was good, but the first one stinks.
What?
Um,
So what issue is this?
so we're going to be doing Deadshot number 4. It was a 4-issue limited series from 1988.
I was going to say I didn't even know he had a series. So yeah,
Yeah. It's the Deadshot's taking aim at his own mother. So I'm like, oh, all right, this will be good. Lots of drama.
I got to share this to my mom just to send a message.
Yep.
Hey, Ma, read this.
Don't let this be you.
The Deadshot issue 4. That'll be
Yep.
something. Yeah, I don't know if we've ever had a Deadshot mentioned here on the show.
I know you and Mike L did a Suicide Squad issue. Was he in
Yeah,
there?
I can't remember. I tried to put all that
It'd
stuff
probably
in
be
there.
the only place you would have talked about him.
Yeah, I can't. I think what I recall from that is I think the cover was weird. Like it was a rip, like they do that thing where it's like a ripped cover or something, and there's a picture behind it, if I'm remembering
Oh,
properly.
I like those.
But, So, all right, that's next week here in the big show. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. And until then, don't get any jank on you.